Surtees. I'm in grade 6 in Miss Gallagher's class at King George School. For my Heritage Fair presentation, I decided to do bees. Why I decided to do bees is because I wanted people to know how important they are to our world, our agriculture, our environment, and to us, and what will happen if bees go extinct. If bees go extinct, 3 years later we'll all die because there is no plants because the bees pollinate the plants. So our animals and our meat, such as the pig and the cow, eat those plants. And then we'll have no food because we'll have no meat or plants. Bees are responsible for $30 billion worth of our crops. And if they went extinct, the farmers would have to go with a paintbrush, crop by crop, pollinating it by themselves. What is a bee? A bee is an insect. It has 6 legs and 5 eyes. It is furry and it makes a buzzing sound. And it is a pollinating insect. How we can save the bees? We can save the bees by making a house, such as this one. And then the bees live in that. We can also save them by planting wildflowers. But we want to make sure that we plant wildflowers that some bloom in the spring and fall, because then they can have time to pollinate them and they will have time to rest too. What is pollination? Pollination is a yellow powdery dust that when they go flower to flower, the pollen sticks to their fluffy fur. And then when they fly to a different kind of flower, the pollen falls off, and then the flower is pollinated. But the only way it can be pollinated is if they go from one flower to a different kind of flower. And how they make honey is they use the nectar from the flower that they suck up with their mouth, and it goes into one side of their stomach. And then they bring that back to the hive and put it in their honeycomb, which looks like that. And then they make the honey out of that. And honey is very important because it also feeds the bees, the baby ones that are in the honeycomb. And where they live in a colony, which is made up of 3 kinds of bees. There is the worker bee, the drone, the queen bee. And the queen bee is the one that lays all the eggs, and it is the biggest bee. The drone, it doesn't really have a job. It doesn't do anything. But they're the second biggest one. And then the smallest one is the worker bee. The worker bee is a female. They leave the hive and go to the flowers and pollinate them and get the nectar. And they're the ones with the stingers, and the queen bee have them too. But the drone does not have stingers. So this is what they look like. What is a beekeeper? Beekeepers don't keep them in captivity. They're not wanting to hurt them. They're wanting to also help save the bees. So they're saving the bees by keeping them in the nests at those houses because people don't have access to them. So this is what a beekeeper looks like. They have to put on a big suit with gloves, a hat with mesh on it, and boots. They use that suit so they don't get stung. But there's a problem. The bees are disappearing out of those hives. We don't know what is happening or how they're disappearing. So we're losing bees at a crazy rate. And bees fly really light. You may be wondering, well, how can they fly? Because their body is so big and their wings are so small. Well, that is because they are so light. Some scientists compare bees to swimmers swimming through the water because swimmers swim like this and bees fly like this. And it's pretty incredible how bees can fly so good. And when they fly past you, they make a buzzing sound. So you may be wondering how they are related to Canada. I'm going to tell you. They are related to Canada because they were first found in Canada, and then the scientists decided to research on them. the bees that they found. And they realized no one else had found them yet. So that is how bees are related to Canada. Here are some fun facts about bees. Bees can only make, a single bee will only make 1/12 of a teaspoon of honey in its lifetime. And that's pretty crazy because a jar of honey is about 1 to 2 cups of honey. Bees don't fly that well in the water, like when they get rained on, because it goes on their wings. If they get cold, their wing muscles don't work that well because they get really cold. And they have a complex tongue that sucks up the nectar from those flowers. So, I would like to show you some things. This is a beehive. I made it in it to represent what an actual beehive looks like. So I made it out of rope, and this is what they actually have. Beehives are layered like this. And so I wrapped the rope around and around. And then these little black things, well, those are bees. This, I made it too. It's out of a toilet paper roll, and it's a bee. And it did take a little while. And then this is a bee book, and it talks about other pollinating stuff. And the crazy thing is that there are different kinds of pollinators. There is the bumblebee, like bugs and insects, ladybugs, beetles, butterflies, moths, hummingbirds, sugar gliders, and a few other animals pollinate too. So that is my presentation. Thanks for watching.